Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances always to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily call. Today, we are going to continue the Srimad Bhagavatam series of first canto, 10th chapter, verse number 24. We'll start whenever Maharaj is ready.
Okay.
Yeah, Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances always to Srila Prabhupada.
Hey, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Devayam Sakyanugita Satkato. Vedashu Gureshu Chaguryam Vadivihi. Yareka Isho Jagaratma Leelaya. Prinjanya Bhakti Natratra Sajante Sajjate. Translation. Oh, dear friends, here is that very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes were described in the confidential parts of Vedic literatures by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world, and yet remains unaffected. As is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, and all Vedic literatures are glorifying the greatness of Lord Krishna. Here it is confirmed in the Bhagavatam also. The Vedas are expanded by many branches and sub-branches by great devotees and empowered incarnations like incarnations of the Lord like Vyas, Narada, Sukadeva Goswami, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlad, Janaka, Bali, and Yamaraj. In the Srimad Bhagavatam especially, the confidential parts of his activities are described by the confidential devotee of Sukadeva Goswami. In the Vedic Sutras or Upanishads, there is only a hint of the confidential parts of his pastimes. In such Vedic literatures as the Upanishads, the Lord has expressly been distinguished from the mundane conception of his existence, his identity being fully spiritual, form, name, quality, and paraphernalia, etc. Have been elaborately distinguished from matter, and therefore he is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent persons as impersonal. But factually, he is the supreme person, Bhagavan, and he is partially represented as Paramatma or impersonal Brahman. Is that it? I can't see any farther.
Yes, Maharaj, yeah. We finished the
Okay.
paragraph.
Okay, Om Gyan Timirandasya Gana Jana Savakaya Taksun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Vayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadanti Swam Kadantikam Mam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Panchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Te Vajapatitanam Pavani Vaishnave Yo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Vishnu Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So how is it possible to know about the Lord? It's only when we hear from the great souls who have spoken about and written about the Lord in the past. These are known as the Acharyas, or in disciplic succession. We have different classes of acharyas. We have the gurus who come in line from Srila, from Sri Brahma Ji all the way down to a present. There's about 34 spiritual teachers in that line. Some of the names we probably wouldn't even be aware of, but there are persons who lived who are the connecting link between God and us through the connection with their guru and with their followers. So it's by their grace, mercy, time, energy, effort, and devotion that we have an understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, we would be in a position of practically knowing nothing about God. And that is what some of the problems, or that is the problem from other sampradayas. They don't have any connecting links. So somebody writes something, somebody writes something else, somebody writes another book. So there's like hundreds of versions of the same book. But we have Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Prabhupada, and he includes in his authoritative statements that are based on the authority of the previous acharyas, such as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Jiva Goswami, of course, Vyasadeva, Narada Muni, the Mahajans, there's Kumara, Kapila, Prahlad, Janaka, Bali, and Yamaraj are all mentioned here. These are Mahajans, and they have written and spoken about the Lord. So they're deep in devotion. So it's by their mercy, by their time, their effort, and by their devotion, that we get an insight about the nature of the Lord and the most important thing is what the relationship with the Supreme Lord. So we are indebted to these personalities who have come before us. They've done all the work. And all we have to do is to accept. And what makes them pleased, or what way we can worship them, is to take their teachings, read them, study them, understand them, and live them. And that pleases the previous acharyas. So this is our service to them, that we accept what they did, just like Prabhupada was tirelessly presenting Srimad Bhagavatam to us. When all of us were taking rest, Prabhupada was up, translating, interpreting, understanding, presenting his Srimad Bhagavatam purports, of course, all his other books also. But Prabhupada worked tirelessly, although he was active throughout the day, meeting people, preaching, traveling. Still, in the evening time, because he wanted to give us this knowledge, Srimad Bhagavatam, and of course the corollary scriptures also that are supportive of Bhagavatam. So we would have something very tangible that we could live and understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. Although many of these books were available by other writers, still people didn't become real devotees until Srila Prabhupada actually spent time and very scrutinizingly studied the works of the previous acharyas and presented his understanding of what they are saying along with his realization, and combined that to be the Bhaktivedanta purports, whereas Prabhupada said, these are my ecstasies in devotion to Krishna. So this literature is a vast treasure house of knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here, out of all of the acharyas that are being glorified, Sukadeva Goswami has given some outstanding glorification, because he's described the confidential aspects of the Lord, and that is the Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna's pastimes in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Many writers have tried to understand and explore that area of devotion. For most of them, they either speculate or they come up with something fictional. They can't really describe anything because they don't have connections with the process of pure devotional service. So you have to hear from a very exalted, pure devotee about the Lord before you can understand the Lord. No one can write about the Lord. No one can speak about the Lord. No one can glorify the Lord properly unless they are situated in devotional service to the Lord. And in this case, when it comes to such lofty spiritual knowledge, they are on the platform of pure devotional service. In other words, they're in the spontaneous loving attraction to the Lord, and they write from that position, or they speak from that position. But here it says that even though these things have been written down, many people who are not very intelligent read these things and misinterpret what is being given. Because just like we have scripture also, but we have Srila Prabhupada to explain the scriptures. Therefore, not only did Prabhupada give us the books, but he gave us so many lectures on the books. He took time to write the Bhaktivedanta purports on the verses, and then he also took time and energy to speak about those same verses in classes or in lectures as he was traveling around the world, just to give us a clear and very authorized understanding of the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a very purified way, in a way that is actually doesn't leave room for speculation. And that is, so we are indebted to these great acharyas. And therefore we should take advantage. So our dedication is to read, is to understand. And Prabhupada said, my books are actually better than me. He made that statement. My books are actually better than me because they are my ecstasies and love of God for Krishna. And whatever you want to know is in my books. If you want to know me, I'm in my books. If you want to know Krishna, I have spent, a good part of my time clearly with very scrutinizingly understanding the Western mind, because the Western mind has a certain way of impersonalizing or fictionalizing things. So Prabhupada wanted to show it clear that here the Westerners can understand if they seriously apply themselves to what we say prayerful reading, a reading with a desire to understand and not just reading the words on the page. So, and knowledge of the Supreme Lord is the foundation of being fixed in the process of devotional service. Therefore, in order to support all aspects of our devotional service, we have to have this working knowledge of what is the nature of God, what is his qualities, what is his activities, what are the different forms he manifests, and why does he manifest these forms at a certain time in a certain way. All of these aspects of the Supreme Lord's existence are available in the Shastras. And so it's important to read and not just simply put the books on the shelf and dust them off every once in a while, but to actually pick them up and read them and get a working knowledge of this philosophy, because it will help you in your bhakti. It will help you directly in your chanting also. Sometimes devotees ask, how can I improve my chanting? One of the ways, there's a few ways we can answer that. But one of the ways, in a more very direct way, is to read Prabhupada's books. That will also help you in your chanting, because these books are glorifications of the Supreme Lord, as the holy name is also a glorification of the Supreme Lord. And here we have so many. Three of them are mentioned in the scripture, in this purport here, short purport: Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Upanishads, and also the Vedanta Sutras, which are the foundations for which Bhagavatam expanded itself by the efforts of Vyasadeva. And there are so many branches, sub-branches, and of Shastra. Shastra is very complex. You have the Upanishads, you have the Puranas, you have the Itihasas. The Itihasas include Mahabharata, Ramayana, and the Puranas. And then you have the Upanishads, which are directly the Shrutis themselves or the Vedas themselves. It's a vast knowledge. But if we simply give a study to Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we will find everything we need to know about devotional service is there and more. And if we want pastimes, we can read the Supreme Lord himself appeared 537 years ago. And his activities are mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mangala. And so knowledge of the Supreme is liberating. Knowledge of the Supreme is elevating. Knowledge of the Supreme is a source of great happiness. So we want to honor the efforts of these great personalities who have come before us because they've given us something. I mean, if they didn't do it, then we would have to work from the very beginning in order to try to understand things, but they've done all the work for us. All we have to do is read and try to understand based on what they give us. And it's nectar to read the books, to discuss the books. In many temples, they have programs for discussions along with the regular classes, which helps people to go deeper in. Just like for those of you who are aware, we are doing the retreat in New Vrindavan coming up in April 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And the topic is Madhurya Kandambini. So it's a very scientific explanation of the process of devotional service in great detail by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. If we really, really want to take advantage of this seminar, whether we hear it afterwards in a recorded version, or if we actually take part directly, especially for those who take part directly, we should read the book, Madhurya Kandambini. Just like if you go to school, before you enter into the classroom, you study the homework, you study the lessons, and then the teacher presents it. If you just walk in there and you don't know what's going to happen and the teacher's going to just speak, you're struggling to understand things. But if you have a working knowledge prior to that, when you sit there, then you can not only understand easier, but you can also ask questions based on what you hear and get further knowledge and realization. So I'm encouraging all the devotees to read Madhurya Kandambini, especially for those who are attending the seminar. It's a very small book. It's actually, let's see, there is 63 pages, and the book is an A5 book. It's not a full-size book. So 63 pages of a very small book. And once you walk into that seminar, you're equipped to understand what is being said to a certain degree, to ask questions, and to get greater understanding. And that way you'll take much more away from that seminar than if you just go and just don't know what it's about and you're sitting there trying to listen and understand. So recommended that devotees who are coming to that seminar, please read the book ahead of time. And you'll see it'll make a big difference in what you get out of the seminar, a big difference. So these books are available, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Upanishads. We have some of the Upanishads, not all of them. There's 108 Upanishads. And there are these 108 principal Upanishads. There's also Upanishads, which are smaller versions of the Upanishads also. You have 18 Puranas, plus you have the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Amalam Purana. So much literature. And then you have the works of the Goswamis, their writings, their teachings, their realizations. And we have a treasure house of transcendental knowledge. Wherever you start with Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, you can know everything about the science of bhakti in those two books. So take time and read. Nowadays, we spend a lot of time on the computer, looking around for seeing what's new in the world. The book is named Madhurya, Madhurya. Somebody can write it. Kandambini. Madhurya means sweetness. And Kandambini means rain cloud or a shower. Yeah. So it is a rain cloud of sweetness, or an inundation of transcendental sweetness. Madhurya means sweetness, Candramauli means pouring rain or a shower. And it's by one of the greatest of all of the acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who has written commentaries on Bhagavatam. His work on the Srimad Bhagavatam is quoted very often by Srila Prabhupada. So here we have something new. So here, yeah. And that way we'll understand that, yes, Krishna is a person. We think, oh yeah, Krishna is a person, but how much do we actually understand the concept of person in relationship to Krishna? We can also, what we say, conjecturalize or speculate that because I am a person and Krishna is a person, we're pretty much the same. But there's a qualitative difference in a very quantitative way between Krishna and us. We are personal, but Krishna is the supreme person which all persons come from. And although he has a form, he's everywhere at the same time. And all his forms are non-different in himself, and he has unlimited forms. He has unlimited good qualities. He has unlimited pastimes. So everyone likes to hear about great people. So who can be any greater than the Supreme Lord? Not the knowledge of him will bring you to complete freedom from all anxiety and stress, and bring you to the stage of a loving devotee of the Supreme Lord, which is actually the goal of human life, the real goal. Okay, we'll stop here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for such a wonderful class. 1 second, sorry about the 1 second. Sorry. Supriya Mataji, you have a question?
Thank you, Maharaj. It was a good class. Maharaj, I have 2 questions here regarding the reading of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. First is how it purifies us. I still did not understand the process of purification. I have seen some devotees for 20 years, like real brahmacharis from ISKCON, and they have not even shown, some of them have not even shown a basic qualities like a tolerance. Very minute thing happens in conversation and they blast like a bomb. Okay, so where is the tolerance in that case? And how it really purifies? Is reading Bhagavatam, etc. Does it really work? And it's not about my faith. I do have a faith in all these books, but maybe I don't know how to apply it.
Well, if somebody's situated nicely in devotional service, but still they haven't developed all of the good qualities, still they're considered to be saintly. And apichet sudaracharo bhajate mama banyabhata sarueva samantabhyak vayogevasisa hisa. So although a person may not be up to the standard, these are called sub-religious principles, or those principles that are in the category of qualities. But the real quality of a person is his fixation in devotional service. If they're fixed in devotional service, then they're glorious. They may not have all of the good qualities yet, but still they have some, and they're engaged in devotional service. Therefore, Krishna says if they're engaged in devotional service, even if they're not up to the standard as far as qualities are concerned, still they're considered to be saintly. So they're making progress. For some people, a particular type of quality is harder to develop, and for others, it becomes easy. So for some, maybe humility is easy and tolerance is a little harder. Detachment is easier for some people. Controlling anger is a little harder for others. So, but these are secondary, and the fact that they are still in the process of devotional service. If they continue, then they will actually reach perfection. We should see them in that way, and not seeing their so-called, inebrities like that.
Okay, because what I was thinking is that everyone takes a birth based on their karma, past karma, and their desires. So we took this birth based on, and in particular family with particular parents, in order to traverse a certain path. If suddenly we come across, say, one person come across this devotional service, isn't that they are living their material duties apart, and they are diverting their life in devotional service? And Lord himself said that devotional service is truly carried out when the soul is liberated, meaning that they are free from their material duties.
So they're in the process, right? Yeah, so they're saintly. They're trying. Are you perfect?
I'm not perfect, but
Okay,
when
then why are we finding fault with someone else who's not perfect?
I'm not finding fault here, but I just want to know with the process, how the process actually works.
It works. It works first to purify the body, then it purifies the speech, and ultimately it purifies the mind. So these are the three levels of purification. Each one is more difficult to purify.
Only one thing I can say from my side is that when I was not purified, even in body, or when I did not finish my material duties, at that time I had no liking for God, no affection for God, or nothing like that. I mean, I was so much engrossed in my career. But when I realized my duties are over, and that's why I'm set free. And I got indication also, you have to give now devotional service. That's why
What is your question? I don't understand why you're just.
That's why I came to ISKCON. I mean, my question was, unless and until one is freed from material duties, is it even worthwhile to go into a devotional service? It's like you are telling the Lord that, okay, you are whatever the material duty.
No. Where do you get that from? It's not in our scriptures. The understanding is, do your material duties, but do it as an offering to Krishna. Yakarosi yaranasi yatidosi vidasi yat. Yatapasi dukunti yatat kudushona mararpanam. Krishna says, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all activities you perform, should be done as an offering to me. So we have people who are in the Grihastha ashram. They still have material responsibilities. So if they learn the science of how to dovetail or direct their material requirements in devotional service, then those material activities actually become spiritualized. And that is a science you learn from your spiritual master. So, so we don't reject that. We have to purify it, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Okay? We don't reject it, purify it.
Thank you, Maharaj. Raj Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I was attempting to read the book Madhurya Kadambini, but I struggled with it. I just could not understand. And then I thought, I've switched at the moment to hearing some classes that break it down a bit, and that's a bit easier to digest. But I just wondered if what you would advise.
Yeah, I've been hearing classes also to get a greater understanding of the knowledge from different angles of vision. But just read it, even if you don't understand. Try to understand, and you'll get something if you read it.
Okay,
You'll
I'll
get something
try.
for sure.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. But hearing is nice too. Reading is nice. I do both. I find both, one supports the other.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. I'll definitely try.
Yeah, then when you come to the classes, you're equipped, somewhat equipped to understand what is being said, or at least you're familiar with the terminology, you're familiar with the idea of this type of presentation. And you're one step ahead of everybody who are just coming there and who have no idea what they're going to hear.
Thank you, Maharaj. I have another question, if I may, about the verse.
Yes, Prabhuji.
When you were talking about, well, the voice was talking about hearing the activities of the Lord. So when you're talking about hearing the activities, are you talking about his pastimes, his Leela? Because I've been mainly focusing on the philosophy, because I've been reading and rereading the first few chapters of the Bhagavatam, which is mainly philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Well, his pastimes, he had pastimes in Vrindavan, pastimes in Mathura, his pastimes in Dwarka. That's his personal pastimes. Him as the all-powerful creator is in the beginning of the Bhagavatam as Mahavishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So it's his creative pastimes, where he manifested these forms for that. So those are for the purpose of creation, which gives you an understanding of the glory of God, the greatness of God, the power of God. But then his sweet pastimes, the majority of pastimes, are Vrindavan is the most sweet. A little less sweet is Mathura, a little less sweet than that is Dwarka. But they're all sweet because they are his personal pastimes. They allow you to enter, at least to some degree, into his personal life. Because Krishna has a personal life too. That's what the most personal of his life is in Vrindavan.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. So we should read both. Should we read both at the same time?
Yeah, first read his activities as the supreme creator, and then it'll be easier, or it'll be less likely you'll misunderstand his personal pastimes when he plays in his role as Krishna in Vrindavan. Because in Krishna in Vrindavan, it looks like an ordinary boy, but it's not. And until you have that working knowledge of his position, that's transcendental to everything material, you may see everything in relationship to what goes on in this material world. But it's opposite. It's the difference between gold and iron.
Okay, thank you for that, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Devotees, any more questions or comments? Yeah, Scarlett Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I read in one of the Srila Prabhupada's letters that he says, Chaitanya Charitamrita has said that anyone who knows the science of Krishna, that person should be accepted as a spiritual master, regardless of any material so-called qualification, such as rich, poor man or woman, or Brahman, or Shudra. How should I need to understand this much details. Could you please help me? Thank you.
Yeah, it's easy. When you know Krishna, you know everything. So the qualification of a spiritual master is, what is it? Tasmad Vigyanam Artham. What is that verse? Tasmad. Well, it's in the 11th canto. A spiritual master is one who knows all the scriptures and can defeat all opposing errors. That's not, I can't remember the whole verse.
Maharaj, can I open the verse? If you
know-
tell me the verse.
I only can remember the first word. I can remember the whole verse when I get a few more
Yes, ma'am.
words. I just can't remember. The first word is Tasmad. Tasmad.
M-A-D.
Tasmad. It's in the 11th canto.
Okay.
Tasmad. If I get my verse book, I can tell you right where it is.
1 second, I will share my screen, Maharaj. I found some in 11th canto.
Yeah, it's the 11th canto.
Is it 11.7.9, Maharaj?
No, it's 11, 3:21.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
Upadyeta Jigyasu Shreyautamam Sabde Kale Vishwatman Brahma Upasraya Shrayam. Yeah, that's it. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek out a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him. I initiate the qualification of a bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personages who have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, leaving aside all material considerations, to be understood as bona fide spiritual masters. So that's the qualification. They must know the scriptures and be able to speak the scriptures in opposition of all other philosophical points. They are fixed in devotional service and they have left aside all material activities. These are gurus. So whether they come from a poor family, a Brahmin family, a Kshatriya family, whether they come from this country or that country, these things have nothing to do with these qualifications. If they're qualified, they're qualified.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Dear devotees, any more questions or comments? Maharaj, I have a question, like when you are talking about reading the scriptures deeply and understanding and which helps us in chanting more or chanting better. So can you give any tips like how to read deeply? Like even though we read one time or two time or hear the lectures, I feel very much I'm very less intelligent in understanding the scriptures. And I don't know when I'll reach that level of understanding or getting realizations, deep realizations. But uh, so I just want to know what will be that stage, and how we will reach that stage.
Well, it's not simply by reading the scriptures we become qualified to understand. The whole process is a package in itself. Therefore, we must follow the spiritual master and execute the activities accordingly. So we must also perform other activities which are supportive to understanding, such as chanting, such as worshiping, such as association with devotees, such as taking only prasadam. All of these activities will support each of the activities. When we start to minimize or start to secularize or what they call sectionize things, we cut and paste, well, I like this and I don't like this. But it's a complete package. So in essence, we have 5 potent forms of devotional service. And if we emphasize these 5, then everything will be there. And that is chanting the holy names, hearing and reading every day Srimad Bhagavatam, worshiping the deity, associating with Vaishnavas, and living in a holy place. So these 5 are the most powerful forms of devotions. And if you do just those 5, then you've done everything. Right?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Actually, I feel like, and one more question I have, like, when I am in my house or when I'm in US, in my routine, I'll do much of the things better and I'll follow a schedule. But once I am back somewhere like in India, so all my schedule is upside down and not many things I can't do here. So I miss everything and suddenly my consciousness will be going down. And I don't know this, I know I think everyone for everyone it happens, but I feel like confused, like, so how to keep up this type of schedule and how to be detached always, like, even though you are in some place, you can have your routine like that. So how to manage, Maharaj? So it's very difficult. So these things.
Yeah, obviously, you're in a different environment, so you have to get acclimatized. If you stayed in that environment for a while, you'd pick up a routine there also. But because you just enter in and then you go back to your normal routine, it becomes something you have to adjust to. Part of the adjustment is to seek out association of devotees wherever you are. Just association of the non-devotees, and how do you expect? Devotees don't really understand the importance of devotee association. It's the foundation for all of our progress in service. It's something you can't simply eliminate and expect to make progress. You have to have devotee association in a regular way. That's for everyone. That's for everyone.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, that's true.
So when you're in this other element here where it's a little difficult and you're not able to get the association, that time is when you should read more and more and more, because you can associate through the book then.
Okay, Maharaj, got it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
When you coming
Scarlett,
back?
I'm coming back on next Tuesday, Maharaj.
On
One
the
more. 28th.
28th. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So soon you'll be liberated.
Yes, Maharaj. India trip is dangerous for my Krishna consciousness. I feel like that.
If you're with family members see you as who they see you as. They don't see you as a devotee. They see you as your family member, and they treat you in that same way. So we get back on the bodily platform again.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, that's true. Scarlett Mataji, please go ahead if you have any question.
Yes, please. My next question also has to do with today nectar of Srila Prabhupada, and it was from Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-14. But I always read the verses before and after, two before, two after, or three before, two after, just to understand. And in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-12, there is so many quality Prabhupada mentioned that one should have to be real good devotee and so on. And if someone who has been many years in the movement, in that faith, and still lack many of this quality, what is the reason?
Well, there's 26 qualities that's mentioned in that purport, 5:18-12. And these are the 26 qualities of a devotee. So who can talk about I can't talk about another person. All I can talk about is the principles that govern the advancement or the retardation of a person in Krishna consciousness. So you have to understand the person first before you can say, well, this is the reason why that person is not as advanced or hasn't developed the qualities. But if a person is engaged in devotional service, as I said in the first part of your question, they're saintly. They're fixed. Supriya's question was like that. Yeah, they're saintly, they're fixed. So see them that way. Don't worry about what they don't have. Just appreciate what they do have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Raj Prabhu, do you have any question?
Hey Krishna, thank you. I wanted to ask a question about association. There's not too long ago, I was in a class in the room, and before the class, I was feeling quite enthusiastic and fired up and ready to hear and ready to learn. But then during the class, all I felt was like everything that was being said, whilst it was correct, there was nothing, you can't fault any of it, but everything felt like it had this negative spin on it. And I felt this throughout the class. I felt like negative energy, lots and lots of negative energy, and I found it really draining and even upsetting. And I don't know if that was because of the class or because of me, or I wondered if you got any advice or guidance.
Yeah, people present the philosophy in different ways. A good class is you present the negativity at the beginning, and then you wind up with the positive. You know, just like in the ocean and the eighth canto, the churning of the ocean of milk, before they could get the nectar, the poison had to come out first. Before we can get pure devotional service, we have to get rid of in artists first. So it's always the negative is first to help us understand what is blocking us from getting the nectar, from getting, the stage of being fixed in devotional service. But if the class is only negative, then it doesn't give you any conclusion about, well, how I should see things in the right way. So in all of our classes, we do that. We present what is wrong or what is negative or what is against religious principles initially. And as we go on with the class, we get more and more involved with presenting how to overcome these things and how to come to the stage of, devotional service. So obviously the person wasn't able to give a good class. They just focused on the negative.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, you have to do both.
Yeah. Thank you. Dear devotees, any more questions or comments? Maharaj, I don't see any questions. So tomorrow's class is with ISKCON Harrisburg devotees, and it's the same time. And the verse number is first canto, 15th chapter and 15th verse, 1.15.15.
Okay,
Srimad Bhagavatam.
so we'll see you all tomorrow. And those of you who are coming to the retreat, and even those who are not, I would highly, strongly, and without any other consideration, read Madhurya Candramauli. It's a sweet little book to give you the whole science of bhakti in detail.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you so
this.
much. So Maharaj, is it by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Maharaj.
These
Thank
are-
you so much.
You can probably find it online too.
Yes, Maharaj, I found it in Amazon, and
Sorry, but it
Sukava
says,
Mataji's shared a PDF format also.
I'm so sorry, but it says it's 500 pages. Is it right? More
No,
than 500 pages.
it's only 62 pages.
Oh,
You're looking at the
62
wrong
pages.
page.
Thank you.
62
Okay.
pages.
Thank
Okay.
you, Mataji.
Srila
Thank you.
Prabhupada.
Ki Jai. Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
And all of the other devotees who I can't see. Yeah.